Camille Lowe thought she'd stay on the West Coast when she left Georgia after college. Not only did Serenbe draw her back in, she was inspired by the place and people to get involved in determining its future, and is now our city council representative for Chattahoochee Hills. In this episode, we talk with our neighbor Camille about the gift of nature homebuyers get when they move here, her favorite time of day to explore Serenbe, and the city's future.
But the biggest thing I can say is there's always someone that's around. I feel like that if you need something or just want to visit with somebody, people are here, not going to be closed down, but they really feel like an open door.
I want to welcome everybody back to Serenbe Stories. As everybody knows, this season we are talking to our residents. And of course, we have Steve Nygren here as usual. Hi, Steve.
Hello, Monica.
And we have my neighbor down the street, Camille Lowe. Hi, Camille.
Hey, Camille.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're so glad you could find the time. What are you up to today?
Oh, a little mixed bag. A little bit of my day job, a couple of work, city emails. I don't know, living life. I'm actually in Serenbe, which is nice, sort of that work from home day.
Yeah.
So share with everyone, what is your day job? And then when you refer to the city, what's that all about?
Yes. Okay. So I work for a pharmaceutical company out of Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm in sales. So I've been doing this now since I've been back in Atlanta. So which was 2009 in the Atlanta area. And so I'm in sales. So I'm usually out and about. We're just starting to do some of that. Most of the state has been in the red category. So we haven't been able to work at the hospitals, but now we're slowly moving into phase 2 of that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's what I've been, trying. I look at that map every Friday and I'm like, where can I go come Monday? And it's really all over the place. It's changing daily almost.
Is your territory all of Georgia or?
No, I, intentionally have sort of moved into a role where I can have only like a third of the state.
Nice. I
did do that in the past, but I've done that, so it allows for other things. So the second piece of that question is, so as far as the city goes, back last, I think it was October, 6th or so, I was sworn into city council for the District 4, which encompasses Serenbe. And so that's been about a little over 4 months now. Seems longer. Maybe COVID, I don't know. I don't know. But it I haven't been able to get out and meet people like traditionally, you originally envisioned that happening. Uh-huh. So that's where I miss that a little bit.
I know. I feel like in a couple months, we're all going to have the vaccine and we'll be able to get out and about a little bit more. But Camille, were you originally from the West Coast, but you're originally from the South, but because you went to UGA, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. I'm from Macon, Georgia. I grew up there. And then I went to UGA and then left immediately, like right after graduation, and headed to California.
Okay, that's right.
I was out there 15 years and then came back home.
I love it. Yeah. Tell us what you did at UGA besides what you studied. Tell us what you did, because you were kind of an all-star.
Yeah. I don't know. That was my childhood passion, was playing sports. And I never dreamed it would, I'd end up with a scholarship. But, I do remember, and when I was really young, someone saying, "You'll never make it." You're never. Yeah.
I hate that.
No. An adult told me that. And I was
That's
really
terrible.
Well, I kind of thought about that, and I was like, well, maybe not. We'll see. It didn't really get me down. It was actually sort of a challenge. Right.
Yeah.
And, ultimately, I ended up with a scholarship with my twin sister, and we both decided to go to school together.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so,
did she play basketball too?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So, it's just kind of a built-in friend, right?
Uh-huh. That's fantastic.
Sport.
When you played all 4 years.
Uh-huh. Sure
right?
did.
And I think you were one of the top scorers. And I'm just going to kind of brag on you a little bit. Janet Marie gave me some data points here, right?
Thanks, Janet. I know you can't, you're not on, but yeah.
I know. She gave me, you finished your career with 1,396 points, ranking you number 9 in the UGA. At that point, I guess that was in 93 maybe. It's pretty great.
Yeah. And it's, it was hard work, I have to say. I mean,
Sure.
anyone that's, listening, I'm sure knows college sports, even high school, whatever, all of that. It's just competitive. And I know now, I watch kids now playing, it's super competitive, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
But it afforded me a lot of things. And I was able to, get out of college without a lot of debt. And that really made it a little bit easier moving to California.
Yeah, definitely.
And I understand on some of the basketball games up on the basketball court, you give the guys a good run.
Well, listen, I need to get back out. Thank goodness in Serenbe we have, right? I've been doing yoga. I've learned I've just turned 50 last year, end of the year. And I realized, flexibility is key now, even with that sport. So no, but I enjoy that. I try to stay active. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. There's some good pickup games up there. They've tried to talk me into it, but I think they would be sadly disappointed in my inability.
They don't let up on me if I play, let me tell you.
No, I think that's a lot of fun. So one of the things we ask is, how did you discover Serenbe? Because, we're saying, the residents are the best source of information. Like, how'd you find it? And why did you move here? What sort of compelled you when you came back to Georgia to sort of stumble upon us and become our neighbor?
Yeah, I know. It's kind of, from a lot of different angles.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, so I was in Atlanta, moved around a bunch of places, never really landed kind of what I felt like I could make home.
Mm-hmm.
That feeling I was looking for. And so I was just looking to get out of the city somewhere, but south of the traffic.
Okay.
A lot of people want to go north. And I'm like, oh gosh, I got family in Macon. That is going to be tough to go north. So, at the time, the person I was dating had horses and was looking for places to go, and stumbled upon this, probably just kind of researching, and being from Atlanta, I had heard about it. And then suddenly I had a work friend out of North Carolina that sent me a message. She goes, maybe you should check this out. I had been wanting to live here I will live there when I retire. And I'm like, where? And she lives and she's fabulous. And she sent me, and so those two things were happening at the same time. Right. Mm-hmm. And that is kind of then came down. I talked to Serenbe Real Estate, and didn't take too long. Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah. There's a lot of people show up and they walk away with a house, or then there's sort of the 5-year program where people are not quite sure. It takes them a little bit. They keep coming down. Yeah. And so you moved down here, I think, into Serenbe in 2015. So it's been almost 6 years, right?
Right. Yeah. So it was the summer of 2014. I think there was I can't remember, but around the nest, they were having sort of an outing right out front. People were around, the builders, and I know Steve was there. It was just sort of fun. It was like standing out there going, whoa, this is kind of, So
it was like a big block party.
Yeah. And after that, it didn't take long.
No, exactly. So when you moved, did you have any idea or any aspirations that you were going to run for city government?
No, I didn't, at that point in time, I wasn't thinking about that. No, what I was thinking about was how am I going to live this next phase of life? What am I going to do? Am I just going to just be there and live there, or actually be active like I've always wanted to be, but not found my place? So that's what I thought about.
Right.
Yeah.
And how's it been? 4 months in.
Yeah, no, gosh.
I know you're only going to have to be able to say good things because it's,
I know. Well, just learn. First of all, I've taken the time, honestly, to kind of read, talk to a lot of people about how the city came to be. And I get the question just from friends, that are like, Chattahoochee Hills, and they ask oh, what's that? Where's that? And it makes you think 2007, and then Steve's work and everyone was living down here. And the fact that, it's hard to imagine, is it 3,500, 3,300 people, something like that now. So we're not that large. And then the open space piece, It just looks different. There's no doubt about it when you drive in, especially if you come through Union City. And so,
yeah, it's a contrast.
In the Parkway, it suddenly changes.
Yep.
And so I feel like, I don't know, it's kind of got involved into understanding that, knowing the history, then so to make better decisions and good decisions moving forward, And it's just this really small group of people that have been so many volunteers and put so many hours and effort into, and that's what I try to tell my friends. Y'all don't get it. Most of these folks aren't paid to do all this work.
Yeah.
They're just doing it because they care. Yeah. So
tell us a little bit about the city council. How many people are on it? Like, how's it broken up? So just like for the listener, the city itself is about 40,000 acres. It's very rural, 33-ish hundred people. I don't know if we've gotten any numbers back. We're still waiting on the 2020 census. But tell us a little bit about it. Like, how do you explain it to your friends? It is so different.
Yeah. Explain we don't have a huge budget, right? Compared to a lot of cities. I don't know what cities are around that we might compare to size-wise, like a Hiram near the airport or something. But 5 council members, we have our mayor, Tom Reed, that lives here in Serenbe as well. Yep. And then 5 districts. And they try to split those up based on population, which could, obviously with the census that may look different next year, whenever those numbers come out.
Right.
And we have our city services, our police, fire, and then we have our community brickworks, which supports our library.
Yeah.
And city manager. So I sort of go through the city manager to try and talk to folks and then, the development team, they're just busy. I mean, it's interesting to look at how it all works because we those folks work a lot of hours on the staff. But I want to say there's like 60 staff total, if you added everyone up, maybe something like that.
Yeah. Well, and it's like we've been able, the city, down here, we now have, right, our own fire, our own police by forming a city. So it was a really important move back in 2007 before we were just an unincorporated portion of Fulton County. And I know, Steve, if you want to talk about the original vision of it, and then it's kind of interesting, Camille, if you can tell us because obviously things morph, things change, new ideas come in, what is the, how has that been held, that vision, and where is it going?
Yeah, I mean, this was a really crazy but progressive idea 20 years ago. And this entire process that led to the city started with really worrying about urban sprawl destroying this beautiful rural area. The area was only known as South Fulton County or RICO. If press or somebody referred to, they would show up at the general store to talk to somebody. And there was no real sense. The community was organized around the various old church communities throughout the area. And so we looked at the 40,000 acres in the tip of South Fulton County, and there were 500 landowners. And so we had a 2-year process that brought that group together to really decide what our destiny was rather than wait for development to happen and react to what we didn't want. And that's a whole story into itself. And I think we had that on one of our Serenbe stories that shares that. But that led to the largest rezoning and overlay district in Metro Atlanta in recent history in 2002. We changed state law in 2003 for transfer development rights. And then Serenbe was the first to break ground under these new regulations in 2004. We had so inspired the population here to control their own destiny that there was a real desire to become our own city. And so we appealed to the state legislature. We were granted the right to have a vote in 2006, and that passed pretty unanimously, I think something like 80% positive. And so we really launched to be our own city in 2007. So that gives you a real quick history roll as to where it is. And so we've been able to really, maintain all those services on a local basis with local people making decisions on planning and zoning and, a local council and mayor and all those things, which makes it very personal. Even though it's 40,000 acres, it's more like a county, but with communities, which Serenbe is that developed area.
Mm-hmm. Well, and as a resident, the fire chief and the police officers and the city manager and obviously obviously all the meetings are open if you want to go to those too. But I think that's been really lovely is that it really is a true community, which it feels very rare these days.
And to put things into perspective, the inside of the perimeter of Atlanta is about 120,000 acres. This is 40,000 acres basically undisturbed. Serenbe is the only actual development that I think there's a couple other small ones now, and we've only disturbed 120 acres. So it shows how density will lead to preservation of the greater area, where 70% will be preserved when we're totally built out.
Yeah. Yeah. Camille, what are you seeing as far as like economic interest and growth, or, what kind of decisions are you guys having people approach you, or what's going on at the city these days? I mean, I know there's always sort of like small decisions to be made, whether that's like a liquor license or certain permits, but what are sort of the big picture conversations that are happening, whether that's happening now or kind of more vision?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the just detail pieces with the zoning, I think we're always looking at that. And I think right now they're in the process of making sure maybe we're making some changes to that, but really to make sure that the language supports what Steve was talking about. The preservation piece in particular. And I always like to tell people that's kind of like when you move down here, that's your gift with purchase.
I love that.
You're like, all of a sudden you can go walk on, including Cockrell Mill Park.
Yeah.
So fast forward. So I guess, a lot of what we're talking about is like the parks. I know, Steve was a big part of the new boat ramp and that planning. So, really opening up the Chattahoochee River, hopefully, which I think also will need, you have to get some private landowners involved, but to really increase the outdoor experience when you come down here.
And so for those listening, Cockrell Mill Park, is that what? Is it 700 or 800 acres? I think it's, and the visitation is from all over, isn't it? Don't you all get records on that? It's amazing. We do.
South of I-20, it's like the busiest. And we really, we can tell by the parking, right? Like, because after you live in Chattahoochee Hills, it costs nothing to park over there. It's free to park. Yeah. So we can tell when we have visitors as we have, the parking for the weekend or whatnot. And we actually are, one of the things we've talking about is some sort of, little hut there when you enter. Something like that to kind of manage now that we're having a lot of visitors. But it's beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, it's so stunning.
And then we have the smaller Hutchison Ferry Park, which is a beautiful, peaceful little park.
Yep.
And then, of course, the ball field, for our own city. And then, as Camille said, we have just opened a boat ramp on the Chattahoochee River and working on now a park in partnership with the Riverlands Project with Trust for Public Land and the Atlanta Regional Commission, which has the potential to be really a major park, which will also have a boat ramp. And then one of the exciting things, with Campbellton and the study to kind of restore the historic village of Campbellton on the banks of the Chattahoochee.
Oh, tell me about that.
Yeah, for the people listening, there are like 5 commissions at the city, one being the Historic Commission, right? And we have the Planning Commission. I think there'll be the Art Commission potentially, Tree, one more. It's not coming to me. But Parks Commission. So those folks are all work. But I think, like Steve was saying, the important piece to making sure that, we manage all of that, because you could just have explosive growth and sort of kind of run over everything, right? And not pay attention to some of the things that, even there's an archaeologist on the Historic Commission, right? Like what's in the ground nearby.
Yeah.
It's important to the history here, not
Very
to
much.
overlook all of that and move too quickly.
Right.
So I love that we have those folks that are kind of activated and care.
Yeah, that sounds super cool. The Campbellton Historic. You said there's some buildings there, Steve, that are on the river, and
Well, Campbell was the county seat of Campbell County, which was this entire area of South Fulton.
Okay.
And then during the Great Depression is when both Campbell and Milton counties went bankrupt, and that's when they were incorporated into Fulton County, making it an 80-mile-long county.
Oh, interesting.
And
that makes sense.
And then when the rail went further east than the river, everyone from the little river communities moved to the rail. And so it was basically a deserted town. And over the years, most of the buildings have fallen down, but you can still see the grid of the old town.
Okay.
And there are, the Sonic Hall is still standing and 2 churches. And so there's the remnants of that old town. And so now, working with ARC and our neighboring city of South Fulton, there's been a real study to master plan how this could be redeveloped on the historic pattern and mapping of the old Campbell County or city of Campbell.
So cool. Are there other, other things that are coming, or anything that's sort of happening, or do we have plans for more parks? Or
there's another. They're looking at a little bit further down the Chattahoochee River, so there'd be potentially another boat ramp, so that we could remove, get it, put whatever you're on a kayak,
put in, put out, and
do all of that. I just had a meeting with the Urban Land Institute, and they're talking about RICO. And I know they reached out to a lot of people in the community. The RICO planning, creating a master plan there, just similar to Campbellton Park. So, what I've seen is just as far as development goes as well. You had asked that question, and Tom is sort of on the front end of that with city manager. They get a lot of, I know, just to people that are interested.
Sure.
But the way I see it, obviously Serenbe is the anchor to all of that, right? And has just the way that our city has operated in Serenbe, that people are interested in coming here potentially. We've seen some annexations into Chat Hills, but I think it's just desirable. And things are moving quickly. I think there's definitely opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things I'm always curious about is, besides basketball, what are you doing in sort of your off time when you're just sort of wandering around? Like, what are some of your favorite things about Serenbe, or maybe the thing that surprised you most? I mean, I love your idea of the preservation as gift with purchase. I might steal that from you. That's really great. But what kind of things that sort of have surprised you over the years as you've lived here that you maybe weren't expecting?
Well, it's interesting. I was so used to people being from all over when I lived in San Francisco. It's just now that I'm here down in Serenbe, I really noticed that people really have come from all over to live here and experience, and I think they've noticed it's a gem in itself. Maybe they've come here for a wedding or to visit a friend or heard about it. And so that's kind of what amazes me. I'm in the middle of Georgia, which when I grew up, everybody was from Macon. And so that's great. And it just, so many people with so many great backgrounds, that the diversity here, small business owners, I love it. Steve and his family are here. That just makes such a nice community, kind of ties everything together. And people, the great thing is, the development's growing, and some people, in some people's minds, it's kind of annoying. And you're like, but the good news is it's bringing new people in.
Mm-hmm.
As a city, we do need, property taxes. I hate to back.
That's what's happening. Yeah. And new businesses have been coming in.
Yeah. And that's fun. So I never had tried yoga. You'd think living in California, it would have been in my top 5. And I got here and I can't remember if it was, it might've been Garney. That talked to me. Somebody was like, you just got to come try it. And I did. And so now I'm kind of hooked on that I just love it. All that, there's so many things. I haven't played pickleball yet, but there's that.
Yeah, we just restriped the courts. I got to go up. We have all of our equipment. We keep trying to go up on the weekends, and it's been busy.
Yeah. But the biggest thing I can say is there's always someone that's around. I feel like that if you need something or just want to visit with somebody, people are here, not going to be closed down, but they really feel like an open door.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Really great.
We always, Jeff, my husband and I, we always feel like winter, even though, you can get outside and we do, it feels a little more shut down just because it's cold, I guess. And we're also California kids, so maybe we're kind of wimps. But we walked, I think it was yesterday, the day before. And I was like, oh, do you want to take the trails, to cut through? He's like, no, I want to be on the street. And he's my introvert, right? But he wanted to be on the street because he wanted to see people.
Yeah.
He wanted to have those chance collisions. Mm-hmm. Do you find that there is something that you never expected? Maybe a better question is, is there something that you want to share with the listeners that's sort of like your favorite place or sort of a secret, something Steve told us about, a secret place that I had no idea about. And I don't even know where it is last week that he can share with you in a second.
Oh, I guess we all do sort of.
Yeah. Well, maybe you don't want to share. You don't want to tell anybody. No.
Now, there's so many people outdoors. It's really hard. Yeah. No, typically, I'm just like a night person. I love the evening. I think it's quiet. Mm-hmm. And I love to walk. I always walk. I live on the pond. Mm-hmm. And I walk down behind the dam, and there used to be a little secret garden back there, and there's a bridge, and you can sort of take 2 paths. And I just go down there at night sometimes and walk. Really, it's just quiet, looking for the owls, whatever.
Yeah. The owls have been amazing lately.
There was a big barred owl down there at one point in time. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I just find, to me, you get down in the trees, and I don't know. And then you kind of, and I'll sort of make my way and turn back up, but not stay long. But I'll often do that at night when it's dark. It's fine. I always wear a headlamp. If you see someone with a headlamp, it's probably me.
Okay.
And the fun, if there's any kind of a moon at all, it reflects on our gravel that we have on a lot of our paths. And you can really see pretty well once you kind of adjust to the night.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of that too, is, Steve, what you put in place with not having, floodlights on every house and things, just, gosh, what a huge difference. Mm-hmm. I just light, pollution just drives me crazy. So it's just so lovely.
I always get tickled when I'm near the restaurants as people are exiting, and many of them are standing in the street looking up. And I realize everyone visiting from the city, seeing stars is a unique experience. Yeah. So you'll see this whole group of people just standing out in the middle of the street looking up at the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really is spectacular.
Yeah. So I really noticed that. And I people give me a hard time. You are so dark down there. And I'm like, yes, I am, for a reason. Yeah,
I know.
Yep, you got it.
Exactly. I think, again, it's something that we're not, if you're living in the city, you're just not used to it. You're used to just a flood of lights. But the dark is amazing. As long, you just have to get kind of comfortable with the idea.
Yeah.
Definitely. Anything else you want to share with us, Camille? Any other fun tidbits or things? Your favorite neighborhood, of course, is Grange, which is where we live, right? Or maybe you can't take sides anymore with city council.
I know. What am I? I think I think I could leave it with, when I moved here, I knew Serenbe, but now I'm starting really to get to know Chattahoochee Hills.
Yeah.
And I just really feel like there's so much to offer that I think is going to makes living here just 10 times better, right? We can take advantage. And I'm like, often just get out, you can get out of here, go down to a park, go to the river, new developments maybe in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like we're on a good path, and we just need to watch how that development and everything happens. The zoning takes care of a lot of that. But it's important.
And this is a great area for bicycle folks because it's known as the Silk Sheets. And then the Path Foundation actually did our feasibility study of 96 miles connecting everything. And we have little segments of that but that'll be great when all that's connected. You can be off the roads, whether hiking or cycling through this entire area.
Yeah, that would be fun to share. I don't know if we have that master plan of that. That's a great one
we do.
to think about.
Yeah.
We'll put that up.
Yeah.
And hopefully the wayfinding signs are on the way. I think we meet about this week, actually. I think they're on our agenda to sort of, because that's been going on, since 2013 or so?
Yes.
We're just a little slow.
People will know where they are.
Exactly.
Hey.
Yeah, that is the one thing. We're like the big belt buckle that says Serenbe, but we need a few other wayfinding signs for us. Yeah.
Definitely. I think they're simple. They should be simple. Yeah.
That'll be great. Well, Camille, thank you so much. This has been great. And we'll put up all this information on the show notes. And I'm going to look up the stars, and I'll look for you in the woods at night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So thanks for chatting with us. Thanks for choosing Serenbe these many years ago, and thanks for offering yourself as service to the city council. It's I really appreciate people that will step forward, because I know it's not always easy, and you have diverse opinions, and so I really appreciate you doing that.
Yeah. Thanks, Camille.
Yeah. Thank y'all.
Thank you for listening to Serenbe Stories. New episodes are available on Mondays. Please follow us and leave us a 5-star review. And visit our website to learn more about guests, episodes, and everything Serenbe at serenbestories.com. This episode is supported by the Inn at Serenbe, nestled in the rolling countryside of the bucolic community of Serenbe, where guests can walk on the 15 miles of private trails through preserved forest land, the wildflower meadow, and the animal village. Relax at the pool, hot tub, or in rocking chairs on a wraparound porch. Play on the croquet lawn, grab a canoe, and jump on the in-ground trampoline. Connect with nature and each other, all while staying in a luxurious space at the Inn at Serenbe. Book your stay today at serenbeinn.com, SerenbeInn.com.